There's a lot of great paying jobs in the construction field, and there's also a huge shortage of labor and people wanting to get into construction.
The missed opportunity that we have is that we have not placed a lot of emphasis on the value of having a career in construction. When the numbers are shown, it's an incredible story. This is how many households we have helped to move to a non-poverty level. You have to say we are interested in having our company look more like America.
Hello, everybody. Welcome today. I really appreciate you all joining us. And today I have a really special guest with us, Miss Loretta Calvin. She's the Chief Strategist and CEO of Monroe Strategic Business Solutions. And her and I are going to talk today about a topic we both are passionate about, which is diversity in the workplace, particularly in construction. Loretta, welcome.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm excited to be here. And you're right, I'm very passionate about the topic as a twice certified diversity expert, but also passionate about the field of construction. And so Monroe Strategic Business Solutions, MSBS, we focus in three areas of supporting small to large companies in the areas of diversity and HR. And then in the segment related to diversity, we spend a lot of time in the construction industries with general contractors around helping to build a pipeline for supplier diversity. And I've had the privilege of working with some very well-known and some good companies in that space. We also provide as well some of the elements as it relates to the people component of the business without regard to the industry. So we're across the board, vertical and horizontal for HR, the people part of the business. And many times organizations don't have the funding for a full-time person to do some of the initiatives that are tied to the people piece. And we are happy to step in. So happy to be here, and thank you for the invitation, Scott.
You're welcome. You know, what really attracted me to you when we first met was you have the unique ability and you're very close to these customers where you can help them. So you don't have, it's not a broad brush that you can just kind of brush by them in one day and sort of help push them in the right direction. But you can actually, through your work, can actually really get ingrained with them and really help somebody hand-holding all the way. Or if it's just finding resources for them for the missing piece that they might already be working on all the other pieces, they just need one or two. And that's what I liked a lot, because what I find a lot of times is in these kind of things, whether it's diversity in the workplace or other hard topics and issues, it's too easy as everyone having a good conversation, and then it just is that it just ends up a good conversation. There's nothing
right. Yeah, we do have that uniqueness, and I think my background has helped in that, because I worked the first 10 years of my career in the brokerage industry, but spent the greater part of the larger part of my experience in the commercial world, where I worked for a large computer distributor. And having had the opportunity to start in sales, marketing, operations, and IT, by the time I got to the sweet spot of my career in HR, I had the full rating of everything. I had the ability to see the business from the operations side. I had the opportunity to see the business from the customer segment. And then from a people perspective, I had a chance to really weigh in on how do we take care of the greatest investment of that organization. In the construction industry, the reason I really have put a lot of time focusing on that lately is because I think it's a missed opportunity for not only general contractors, but for people to understand the breadth of opportunities that are there as a career, as well as those that are hiring in, missing the boat in terms of diversity. So I think there's a lot of work to do there.
I couldn't agree with you more. Let's jump right into it. In terms of diversity in the workplace, I think it's become a really hot topic. I think a lot of companies really want to have a more diverse workplace, whether it's culturally, whether it's diversity in people talent, and they really want to get those opinions in a good collaborative environment. However, I think a lot of companies are still struggling to figure out how to go about doing that. I mean, for example, just statistically, what we've seen is, in some of the information we've read, is only 6 to 7% of the construction labor workforce is African American, compared to 45% white and 7% Hispanic. And why is that? I think people have different opinions and wide ranges, but there's a lot of great paying jobs in the construction field, and there's also a huge shortage of labor and people wanting to get into construction. And there's a need for it. Construction's booming. I mean, with coming out of the pandemic here, just like we did in the recession, the House just approved a $1.5 trillion infrastructure bill. We need skilled labor.
Yeah, absolutely. I can lend some insight on it. First of all, as with many industries, but particularly in labor-intense industries, those people that got into construction early on, the baby boomers and those that are older, are retiring. And they're coming out because they're getting older, and that kind of energy that's required for that kind of work, they are slowing down and doing something less intensive. I think that the missed opportunity that we have in America is that we have not placed a lot of emphasis on the value of having a career in construction. When you think about the push toward education, which we all believe in, and the push toward post graduation opportunities, not a lot of those things have been given to educate graduates, and even at the high school or middle school level, to show what those opportunities might be out in the construction world. So there's a lack of education. There's a lack of emphasis on that in the high school and also in the career building area. So from a diversity perspective, and from the standpoint of why you are seeing a lower percentage of African Americans and Hispanics, well, let's just start at the top. Let's look at where you're going to build your pipeline. Those people that are running those businesses, those GCs, the higher percentage of those are not African Americans and Hispanic. And so building that pipeline and having someone as a mentor or a guide or someone that leads you into that profession is limited. I think that we should now, yesterday actually, I think that there needs to be more emphasis on encouraging young people to look at that field. There's many things to do in construction. There's project managers, there's estimators, there's of course the GC itself, and there can be a career track that's built for someone that wants to get into that business. And the money is good. I mean, the income that can be gained in that industry could be good. But I think the direct answer to your question is a lack of education, a lack of awareness, and a lack of that coming from the very place that those people that you mentioned, the groups of people that you mentioned, where there is a small percentage. I think that messaging needs to come down in different ways. So we have right now great opportunities for increasing that.
So, one of the things that I really want our audience and the people that get to watch this see, because I think this is going to be a topic, whether someone watches this today or someone watches you and I discuss this right now, a year or 4 years from now, this is going to be a pretty relevant topic, I think. What I hope people gain out of this is not only what the problem is and what the solution is, but a real how-to guide. And I think one of the things you're really qualified to do, and I was impressed with hearing about, is what those problems are, which you just identified, but how specifically do you feel a general contractor or a CEO president of a subcontractor business, how can they create a diversity program in their own workplace? And how can they get out and do those types of education events and outreach events? And what do they do? I think what we've seen too often sometimes is somebody hires that position, but they don't have a strategy to it. And what I really hope they can gain from you is what is the strategy and the execution plan to go about doing that? What are some of those things they can do or you recommend?
Well, there are a lot of things that a company can do, and it starts, of course, with good intention. So one of the things is that they would hire a firm like mine to help them with the expertise around understanding what that strategy is. But what it really starts with is a commitment on the part of the organization. There are three streams of thought when it comes to, in my own opinion, to the success of a strategic program. One is acknowledging that diversity is here. For the most part, we're already diverse. The greater question in terms of an organization is, what do you want to do with those diverse people that are in your organization, and how will you ensure that you're creating a welcoming environment for them, and that you're doing the things that can be done to help them understand potential growth opportunities, and making sure they have the right contacts and the mentors and the supporters. The second element that we haven't talked about is this, the whole equity piece. So in the construction industry in particular, there is an opportunity to create mentoring programs where you bring in a sub or you bring in someone that doesn't have as much experience, and the whole goal will be to build them to a larger entity so that they gain an opportunity to increase equity. And I'm using equity in the space of having the same opportunity in that market. So a construction, a GC or a big GC house or any type of construction element might have a particular, very strategic program where you go and you identify certain roles in that organization where you want to bring in more diverse hires. You can target interns in colleges. You can target folks that have degrees and a focus in finance and accounting. You can target roles like project managers and estimators, and you can specifically go out and hire someone who will help you zero in on helping to find people like that. When you do have an opportunity to hire those people in the organization, then there needs to be a laid out and strategic, very intentional goal as to how they will grow, how they're going to earn the information and get the education to make sure they're successful. The other thing is that an organization, let's say it's not construction necessarily, but any company, is to get involved in the community where those people live. So if you want to know more about the world of potential African-American candidates, you want to go where they are. You want to be where they are. You want to learn about that community. Hiring a firm like ours helps you to have that arm and that leg into that community. Today, the construction industry does a great job of when they have an RFP or when they have a building opportunity, yes, they will go out and they'll host events where they may issue flyers and say, here's an opportunity, come to building X and we'll tell you all about the project. Go ahead and sign up, show us your certification papers, and we'll consider you. Beyond that, there is little effort and little time to do more than that. So if I am a person of color and I show up at one of those events, and maybe I just got in the industry, and maybe I'm not really a subcontractor that's done a lot of business, I'm going to go, I'm going to sign up, I'm going to give you my paperwork, fax you whatever I have to get, and I'm just going to wait. The difference is when you have targeted efforts, you take the information, you meet those people, you get more information from them, and your goal is to expand your team more diverse. Also with women, there's not, we didn't talk about women in the construction industry, but there are opportunities for women and veterans as well. And so you have to go to the people and you have to say, we are interested on this particular project in our organization of having our company look more like America. And so we're going to target our efforts, and we're going to go beyond just inviting people to these open sessions. We're going to follow up with them. And while we're at those sessions, we're going to have one-on-one conversations. And it may be you have to hire someone that has less experience or has built less revenue, but at the end of the day, you want them to grow and to be able to expand into becoming the best that they can be.
You know, you have an interesting approach on equity, and what I think so I could just make sure that I'm on the same page with you, and I think everyone understands equity as I understand it from you is interesting, because most people hear that term and they think, oh, equity in the business, or is it equity in the project? And it could be both of those. But
Yeah.
more specifically, I think if you're a larger general contractor or just a general contractor and you're partnering with your subcontractor businesses or other general contractors that are Hispanic or African American or other diverse backgrounds, equity in the sense that I understand from you is really almost an incentive, like a new way of almost contracting or giving that incentive to, whereas, here's the minimum expectations of this project. Let's execute on it. However, here's some incentives or equity for doing better performance or reaching these goals in a more aligned time, and getting them on the same page or in the same equity analysis as to where the incentives for that general contractor are, or the other partner in the project, aligning those and providing the same benefits or equity to each party can then teach, train, and help develop, particularly if you're mentoring someone along, but even if you're not. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, that piece, as well as sometimes you have to step outside of the comfort zone. And what that means for me is, if you've got a large project, doesn't have to be large, but if you have a project where you can look at it and segment, if your intent is to hire me as a part of your team, and you look at what my expertise is in terms of the building project, and I may or may not have as many years of experience, but I am a willing soldier. I'm willing to come in, I'm willing to learn the business, and I'm willing to prove what I can do. I can actually slice out a segment of that business and have you own it and have you run that, if you will, to showcase your expertise as to how you can execute, and you can also hire labor to make that happen. So equity comes over a period of time. Some people gain that right from birth. Some people earn it from hard work and making the right associations and right investments. And others have the opportunity of equity as it relates to having those opportunities where they're at the table where normally they wouldn't be at the table, and then being able to prove, if you will, their ability to execute. And having done so, then the next time those types of opportunities come up, they can then stand on their own because they have proven their service, their level of service, their quality of deliverables, and now they are able to expand that equity piece. So it's what you've said and more.
As it relates to leadership in construction, I think there's even you see even the gap in diversity widen leadership, whether it's construction managers, superintendents, or even the owners of businesses. What do you think are some of the solutions to solve around those type of problems? Are they different than what we've discussed already, or how do we get some of those leadership positions more diverse, such that I think from there it could lead down into the earlier parts of the workforce?
Well, that's a great question, because that answer to that question is the same answer as in the corporate world. You build from your pipeline. And if your pipeline is all white male, or all non-white, but all male, then your pipeline from a supervisor, manager, director, and VP is going to be the same. So the first thing you want to do is go back to what we said earlier, is getting more people of color into the industry, getting them trained, getting them experience, and doing that. From the perspective of how do we see more diversity at the GC level and at some of those more senior levels, I think you just have to have an intentional reach, because unlike a GC where you really do have to go through and get your certification and sit for the exam, there are many other responsibilities within the construction industry that don't necessarily require that you have that building experience. There are people that are in finance that can come into that role as an estimator, and they can do a number of things. There are a lot of roles within the construction industry that can be targeted roles where you are going out into the workforce and you're going to choose those folks that have the kind of analytical skills that will be helpful to the organization. And then you teach them the trade. You teach them the trade, but again, they have to be targeted efforts. Now, one of the questions someone may ask is, what is the responsibility of those who want to get in this industry? Why are they not reaching out? But it goes back to what we said earlier. If you don't know anyone as a GC, if you're not familiar with any people within the construction industry that have these types of roles, then you probably won't be incented to reach out. I think that that's where the education piece comes in. I think that more education in the community around, listen, there are jobs and there are opportunities in the building world, and this is how you get in. This is what you need to do. I know that some of the tech schools are starting to push these, what I call more labor intense roles. They're helping students understand that there are careers in plumbing, in electricity, in construction, things that we will all need for some time, and things that do actually create some great careers. I think we have dropped the ball as a society for not making sure that folks understand that there's some great opportunities there. And so many of those don't necessarily require a postdoctorate degree or even a master's degree. And several of them are the types of opportunities that one can get trained on and really rise to the top based on their performance and building their skill. So there's work to be done. Education, awareness from a community perspective, perhaps holding some information sessions with people, and then just having those people that are within the same groups build that trust level of understanding that these can be great careers, because I know several general contractors and they do quite well.
Absolutely. You bring up a great point, and there's two sides to both the problem. You have the solutions that are creating awareness and creating education, and then you have the folks that are going to be ready when those opportunities arise. And I think you
Right.
just touched on that, getting ready, being ready to see that opportunity and jump on it when it comes. What are some of the recommendations you have for construction contractors that are looking to create a more diverse workforce? What are the things that they can do to really position themselves for those first line managers and to create that awareness? And then in addition to that, what are some of the best candidates or the people of color or diversity that are getting those roles? What are they doing different than the other folks that might not be ready for that? What are some of those things that they can do to be ready more? Or what are you seeing folks do that are either your clients that you're working with or the individual candidates that are getting those roles?
Yeah, I think to be transparent, fully transparent, I think that we've just talked about the percentage of Hispanics and African Americans that are in the roles. So it's small and far and few between. Those people are folks that they're already the types of folks that have a great sense of trust in who they are, and they have a sense of work ethic that they're willing to work hard, and they don't mind putting the time in. So from a construction company that is looking to add more diverse and inclusive people, I go back to my point of you have to have a targeted and very specific plan of action. So a strategic plan that says, we want to add in each level of our organization for each of these roles, we want to have a diverse hire for these 4 positions. Loretta, this is the profile of what we're looking for. These are the core skills that they must have. And I need you to go find them for me. I need you to find them. And this is the target range of what the income will be. And then it's my job to work with the relationships that I have to go and target those kinds of people and to have the conversation with them. They may be in an industry that's unrelated. They may not have even thought about it, But people trust people that they believe that they can relate to, and organizations that are truly, truly focused on increasing their diverse organization will put in the time. My experience is that the larger the GC is, the larger footprint that that contractor has in the building industry, they would say to me that they have little time to focus on recruitment because their pipeline generally stays pretty full. So they're busy catching the opportunities that are dropping from the boom in the building industry. But those who truly value and understand the diversity element will say, you know what, we are busy. We are right now, really, we've got more work than we can handle, but we're going to carve out this much budget and this much time to get your help to make sure that we're offering these opportunities to people. The people that are doing the work, the GCs, the project managers, those that are doing the work and have feet on the ground, they don't have time, but they do have an opportunity to identify a resource that could help them to get there. It's got to be a mindset. It's got to be something that they feel is the right thing to do. So if those candidates are out there, how do they prepare themselves? The first thing that they would have to do is be aware. And I think that construction companies can change the marketing efforts so that they're marketing in a way that says, we are willing to train you. And we're looking for these 3 core skills. If you are a dedicated worker, if you have analytical skills, if you have the ability to manage a project, those are the kinds of things that we're looking for you to transfer into our industry. And we are willing to invest in whatever it takes to make you successful. So it is a 2-sided prong there. And I think there's work to do on both sides. I find that most construction companies, they lack the time. And if you can just get them for a minute to sit down and talk to them, they do realize the value, but they're so busy running down an opportunity for them to be able to execute on the bids that they have on the table.
You know, you mentioned opportunities. A huge opportunity for diversity is in governmental contracts, and whether they're state or federal or city or municipality, there's a lot of carve outs of the overall project that really need to go to minority owned qualified businesses. What are some of the ways that you help your clients that are going after that type of work to be ready and get those contracts and succeed with them?
That's a great question. And I'm going to reference a most recent project that I worked on where it was a very large build, and the requirements, as you stated, particularly if you're working with federal dollars, there's a certain percentage that's required that goes to minority subcontractors. And that includes veterans, that includes women, that includes a lot of categories. So there are databases that hold the names and the companies of these people who have those certifications. And there are, for a company like mine, what a GC will do is bring someone on to help ensure that they meet that goal, that they meet the percentage level. One of the things that we did with the project that I was most recently working with a large contractor in the Bay Area is we went beyond just meeting the number, if you will. This particular contractor went 2 steps further. Number one, they hired in a gentleman that is, it is a registered GC, he's African American, and actually carved out a segment of that total project for him to, quote, run his own piece of the business. And in doing so, he got an opportunity to expand his portfolio, to do his own hires, to be able to execute his part of the business. And then it showed the owner that he had the skill set and the capability for being able to bid on future projects. So he got exposure that many African American GCs will not get, only because he was given that opportunity. The second thing that we did was something that I truly found that the owner finds truly valuable. And that is, we created a community impact study. So a community impact study looks at, of those percentage of minority hires that you brought onto this contract, how many of them had an increase in their salary? How many of them were not working and being on this project, they now have a permanent job? How many of those that were hired were people of color, and what category are they? And then ultimately, the community impact study gives an opportunity for the owner that had the building project to say, this is how much income we brought to this area. This is how many households we have helped to move from poverty level to a non-poverty level. And then when the numbers are shown, it's an incredible story of what happened pre-project and the positive impact that a targeted effort had on the economy in that given area. It's a pretty powerful thing.
Yeah, that's genius, because the results therefore then just speak for themselves, and
Absolutely.
anyone that can see just direct specific results is going to be so attractive.
Pretty compelling. And because they haven't published it yet, I won't necessarily reference who they are, but they will be soon. And I can't wait, because it shows that that particular owner not only believes in, but was willing to put the blood, sweat, and toil into allowing the contractor to do the work, to do the extra work, to pull together this community impact study, so that a community can see the gain that comes with raising income levels for a household, being able to impact directly the economic value in that community. So I was really glad to be a part of that. And I'm looking to do more of that with future clients.
Yeah, even subcontractors bringing that idea to the table as part of their bid to work with a general contractor would be genius.
Yeah, it worked out really well. And I'm happy for the subcontractor. Think about it. I mean, think about your portfolio. It goes overnight from something that might take you a little bit longer to build, to being able to showcase your efforts and your success with such a huge project, and then your revenue increases as well. So it was really good to see that.
Do you find that general contractors that work with your clients tend to be hired back again for the next project and the next project?
Absolutely, because success breeds success. And so when you find like-minded people that generate that success in a collaborative way, you're almost always, those people tend to, I see them again and again on different projects together.
Loretta, I really appreciate your time today. I think this has been excellent. I'm excited about our partnership and working with you, and I'm really glad that we've been able to find you now as a resource to offer to our clients. I can't tell you how many times over the last 4 or 5 years we've had companies that would really benefit from having an advocate and a resource like you, just for, even if it was just for ideas, if not for anything else, just what to do next and how to position themselves, whether it's here in Tampa Bay or anywhere across the country.
Yeah.
And now that we can help provide, in the event that where some of these clients do have a lack of capital to start a bigger project they might be on, that you can help them with that resource, or whether it's one of our other resources that we have too. So I'm really excited to be able to fill that gap in solutions that we didn't have before with you. In addition to Loretta's traditional services of HR, consulting, helping organize, helping you prepare introductions, we now also have a format for her to be able to link into mobilization funding to help those same clients provide financing for their projects, whether it's complete resource of financing to look at a capitalization of their business with some of her other opportunities, or whether it's project funding directly with mobilization funding. Those opportunities now exist in Loretta's ecosystem, where she can work with those clients and bring them to us, or vice versa. So we have many, many clients that found us for the financing, but they lack the HR resources, or they're still looking for talent in that area or what to do next. And that the symbiotic relationships of what Loretta and her group is bringing to us, and what hopefully we can help fill the gap for her, is really going to bring a good value to the overall system. That's my view of it, and I'm excited about it. Loretta, is there anything that you think that I've missed or we should add to that?
No, I think excited is, I would say that I concur with you. And it's so great when you're working to provide solutions for clients. And I hear all the time that in addition to this, they need this. It's been wonderful to be able to take that conversation to another level, because the financing comes up many times. And I'm excited to be able to work with such a reputable firm as yours, and to be able to add those offerings. It expands our capability statement, and it shows the companies that we work with that we're looking out for them in terms of their overall stability. And I'm really excited about it. So I'm excited about the opportunity.
Me too. And what I want to add to people that are having a chance to listen, what attracted me to Loretta was I've met with lots of consultants, and I've seen tons of them over the years come to us. And many are very good, and some aren't. But one thing that all of our clients have shared is they have a negative stigma sometimes to consultants and consulting. Mm-hmm. Either they've been overpromised and underdelivered, they've just been taken and they didn't get anything that they thought they would get, or some combination thereof. But what I can tell you about Loretta and what I've seen so far is she is very genuine. And I know the people that she's worked with, and I know the projects she's referring to, and she's really helped people not only get those jobs or be successful and ready for them when they came, but also execute on them and to a positive result. And that's the most important thing, is delivering on what you say you can do. And so for that reason, we're excited to have our partnership with her, more importantly than anything else.
Thank you so much. I thank you for those kind words, and let's go get them.
Yes, definitely. Well, everyone, thank you very much for chiming in today and taking the time to listen to this. I hope it was valuable to you. I hope it gave you lots of good ideas, great resources. And of course, you can contact us or Loretta in any instance, and all the contact information is below for you here to see. So have a great day. I hope you're doing well, and make sure you guys have a great week and crush it. Thanks.